Welcome to the Cowtown Cats Lacrosse Podcast, where we talk all things Panther City Lacrosse Club. Now here are your hosts, Nicholas and Andy.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cowtown Cats Lacrosse Podcast, where we talk all things Panther City. I'm Nicholas, of course joined by Andy.
Hello.
Andy, things keep moving a little closer and closer to the upcoming season. And of course, we've had a few changes in the last month, so we'll have to talk about that for sure. But kind of the one thing that always kicks off any sports season is, of course, the draft. I mean, the NLL draft for the 2023-2024 season came and went. Panther City had 7 picks in this year's draft, and I would say they kind of made the best of it. Every year, starting off with a draft, it lets you get an idea of what they're kind of focusing on going into the new season.
Absolutely, and they definitely addressed some areas of need that, based on what we saw last year, I think that the team was not necessarily hurting, but where they definitely could have used some improvement. And so we'll run through the players that they went through and discuss them.
Right, and so with those 7 picks, we'll start with the 5th overall pick, Ryan Sheridan. He was from Hofstra University, 6'4". I mean, you even mentioned in there, offensive-minded scorer.
Yeah, and the first thing that jumped out to me reading about this guy, obviously he scored quite a bit of goals, threw in a good amount of dimes as well. But yeah, 6'4". I'm pretty sure that the largest guy we've had, at least height-wise, the past couple of seasons, has been Phil Caputo, who's 6'3". Mm-hmm. So right off the bat, having someone that big fall to us in the first round was really nice. And we'll get into Jason Knox a little bit later. But yeah, it's really like this pick.
Oh, yeah. And not only that, but then the next pick we had was 21st overall. And a familiar face to play with Ryan, Justin Sykes, also from Hofstra.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, another big guy, 6'3", also primarily a scorer, put up a lot of points. Now, I couldn't quite tell whether he is entering his senior year or just finished it. The fact that he didn't sign a multi-year deal like Ryan or the next pick did gives me the impression that he might be playing one more year of collegiate lacrosse. We'll have to wait and see, though.
We've seen that with the last 2 players, the 2 big players, at least for Panther City. Jason Knox finishing up his senior year, and then of course Donville staying for an extra year before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so it definitely helps them develop, and if they want to continue pursuing their education, that's awesome as well. So yeah, we'll see how things go with them.
Well, 46th overall was next with Elijah Gash. As you mentioned, he signed a multi-year deal already, but he's from the University of Albany.
Yeah, and they've got a good program. They churned out two of the 4 Thompson brothers, if I'm not mistaken. So they started their careers there. Another big dude, 6'4" defenseman, and when we say defenseman, in field lacrosse, he's one of the guys playing closer to the net with one of the long sticks. So it'll be good to see that kind of physicality transition when he starts playing box with us.
Well, and as we've mentioned in previous shows, defense is a big thing that they're focusing on in the off season. So this is obviously goes in line with what they're looking for in the upcoming season. Speaking of big men, 52nd overall, Mike Sisselberger. I hope I pronounced that right. He's from Lehigh. Man, I'll let you take the reins on this one. This guy has got some big numbers behind him.
Yeah, first off, in college, he set the 2021 NCAA record face-off percentage at 79.5%, that's insane. That's like, I don't remember what Trevor Baptiste's percentage was this past season, but that's like that level of insane. And coincidentally, he is one of the smaller guys on the team. He's 5'9", so probably right around like Nathan Grennan's height. But that's honestly kind of what you want for face-offs to get that speed and that lower center of gravity. And he is really tearing it up in the PLL his rookie year. He was named an All-Star and also second-team All-Pro, again, as a rookie. So he's doing really well in the field game, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's just as good when he starts the season with Panther City.
Well, and we kind of talked about this before we started the show. It's very interesting that they pick up a big face-off person just because, last year we had some injuries and we had certain, people coming in and out as the face-off person. So this almost sets up, some new blood and somebody who might be able to take that position permanently.
Yeah, yeah. Tyler Burton, he's great, but he's no spring chicken, so to speak. And let's see, who else did we have? I think Bricker Muir and either Ronan Push or Cole Pickup took a few reps taking faceoffs as well. But this gives us more added depth and another look that we can give the opponent when we're starting off.
For sure, for sure. Well, our next pick was 61st overall, Colin Sharkey from Vermont.
Yeah, and I think when you're getting into these higher rounds or lower rounds, depending on how you look at it, you're really looking kind of for potential. Sharkey was a defensive-minded midi actually when he played for Vermont, so he focused on defense, but he carried a regular length stick as opposed to the long sticks that a guy like Elijah Gash might have, and so that should help him out well with box.
Right, and possibly a good defense transition player too. Coming up next was 85th overall, Justin Morgan. He comes from Maryville, Missouri.
Yeah, and it's a pretty small program, or one with that's a little less renowned at this point. They had one pick come out to the NLL, I think, a couple of years ago to Albany. But I'd say this is a good gamble on a smaller university player, which could pay off dividends in the long run.
Right, and sometimes it's good to take those chances just to kind of. I think we've seen in a lot of sports, if you just give certain players a chance, they can show you what they can do. I mean, we see that in basketball all the time. We see it especially in football. But I think in a sport like lacrosse, where even if you are a smaller university, that doesn't mean like the competition is any less. It doesn't mean that you're not good enough to make it in the pros. So I think this is a good addition, even if he doesn't land a starting job right away. I mean, he's somebody who can probably add to the team and outside of that.
Definitely, yeah, and it'll help get his foot into the league and improve against professional competition.
Right. Well, and speaking about, so we talked about 61st overall with Colin, 90th overall, our last pick of the draft, Tim Manning. He's also from Vermont. I was going to say, I pointed this out, it is kind of interesting how Panther City, 4 of their 7 picks were from, 2 of them were for one university and 2 of them were for another. So they were definitely focusing on, possible teammates, working together again.
Yeah, guys that have familiarity for each other will help not just on the field, but off the field as well. Manning, like Sharkey, is defensive minded. He was a defenseman, so he played the long stick. Also a bigger guy at 6'2". Again, with the 90th pick, who's to say he'll see much time? But again, you love the potential. You like seeing them go for someone who has familiarity with someone else on the team. It could really help out in terms of building these rotations, whether it be starting or coming off the bench.
Well, and we saw last year, I mean, those later picks, again, they'll be fighting for spots on the team. Nothing's guaranteed, but it gives them, a good, all around a good talent pool to pull from and to see, who can do what and who can show up and stuff like that. You already talked about it earlier. I mean, 2 of these players already signed multi-year deals going forward with Panther City.
Yeah, so I think that's a sheer sign that Panther City is going to try to win as much as they can now, and these players are all in on it. They're not staying for undergrad or postgraduate lacrosse. They're here to win. They're here to get better as players individually and within the team game. So it's nice to see that.
Well, yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what they can do right away with the team. I mean, overall thoughts on the draft. I really, again, defense is on Panther City's mind. I think that's why they were kind of picking and choosing, like we said, some bigger people. I mean, you pointed out just the size of certain defensemen. Even Mike being with the face-off. I it again, it goes in line with what they're looking for in the offseason.
Yeah, and if there's one thing I did notice when we faced the so-called elite teams out west, particularly Calgary and San Diego, the teams just seemed bigger than us to a
Mm-hmm.
point where whatever speed or finesse advantage we may have had was negated. Because if you've got a 6'4" guy setting a pick on someone who's 5'10" around that height, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just going to be hard to get around them, short and simple. And so having players that big that bring a certain physicality of them is really going to help us, I think.
Oh, for sure. And so yeah, going into the off season, I mean they're definitely going to be trying some different things. And like I said, even if they aren't, some of these players aren't starting, I think if they sign with the team and they even are part of the practice squad or something like that, it helps the team as a whole get ready for some of those bigger teams out there. So we'll be interested to watch and see what happens in the coming years and obviously the coming months before the season starts. But we kind of already touched on it. You know, there's two players in the draft already signed multi-year deals. Well, there was one that finally officially signed with Panther City, and that is Jason Knox, our pick from last year's draft.
Yep, number 5 pick in what would that have been 2022?
2022,
And
yeah.
yeah, and it would have been awesome that he played for us last year, but it was good that he stayed in for another year of seasoning, probably developed and grew into his body a bit more, probably did some more strength training and whatnot. He's a big, not only is he 6'4", but he's a lefty player. So that's a great side to have really skillful players on. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if he slots right in. If not as a starter, then certainly someone who could be starting by the end of this year to help guys like uh some of the older guys like Callum Crawford get a little more rest.
Well, and I feel like again those younger or those early round picks, Jason, Ryan. I mean, we've seen them obviously with Donville, winning Rookie of the Year last year. We see them make an impact right away. And I think that's what Panther City is hoping for, is that every year they can get that one player, especially in those early rounds, that can just make it like get in the starting lineup and make an impact for the team right away.
Yeah, you really like to see guys like Donville and Gaucher be able to to contribute right off the bat.
Mhm.
I'm actually trying to think of what are I know we traded Dodds away this off season, and
Unfortunately.
yeah, and now that I think about it, Callum's Showtime is right-handed, so I'm trying to remember our left side. But yeah, it'll be good to have basically a big shooter on that side of the net for sure.
Yeah. Well, and we hope, like you said, we hope he makes an impact right away. There was also a couple of extensions signed in the off season here in the last few weeks. Uh, of course, one of my favorite players, Nathan Grinnan and Dylan Hutchison, they both signed extensions with Panther City. These are two really good, solid players. They have signed to keep in Panther City for the coming years.
Yeah, and you love that they've been granted we've only been around for this will be the third season, but it's awesome that these guys will have played all 3 years with us so far to help maintain that continuity, not just with their teammates and with the team in general, but also with the fans. Just seeing familiar faces from season to season really helps you build that fan base and that camaraderie.
Well, and I mentioned it last year. I mean, I think Nate's just excitement,
Yeah.
attitude, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, his little chip on his shoulder, everything in between. I think that just adds to, I mean, even on the nights where he didn't have like a whole lot of assists or a whole lot of points, just that attitude out there helped kind of push the team more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He was definitely a spark plug off the bench. And Dylan, he's been solid on the defensive side as well. I know earlier this offseason, who was it that extended? McLean,
Oh,
I
yeah.
know, extended as well. So the team's doing a good job, and signing these guys to longer term deals to keep them in the city long term.
Right. And you know, we did talk about it a couple months ago when they did release Dodds, and it was I guess the best word would be heartbreaking, obviously, because you know he started with the team in their first year and had that great first season with us. But like you said, it's almost for the greater good, maybe,
Hmm.
because it's allowed them to make these extra extensions and bring in other people and kind of set our sights on other players to help out the team in the long run. And Dodds will be able to help out whatever team he's on in the long run, but it's hard to keep that many impact players, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then maybe the team didn't quite foresee Donville picking things up as smoothly and as great as he did in his rookie year, which is why in this draft and in this offseason, we're targeting guys that can really play off of him, which made Dodds for better or for worse a little bit expendable. But hey, he's going to a great opportunity where he's going to get a lot of time, and
Hmm.
we've brought guys in that will hopefully really build that chemistry and play well off of each other.
For sure. And as we said before, we wish them all the best of luck. But you know, it's just I now that all this has been happening in the off season, I really cannot wait for the season to start. Speaking of which, man, the schedule was finally released. Interestingly enough, we don't start at home this year, which is fine. It's fine. The other thing that was kind of weird about the schedule, our home opener is on a Sunday afternoon, Sunday, December 10th at 3 p.m. I, I mean, what are your thoughts about that right off the bat?
Well, it is interesting that not just for the home opener being on a Sunday, but all of our home games are going to be straddling Saturday essentially.
Hmm.
They're either on Friday evening or Sunday afternoon, which personally for me, that's perfect. Just the way that I schedule my time and life on weekends. That's very convenient for me because
Hmm.
I like to keep my Saturdays open to do other stuff, and having those games Friday nights will be a great way to unwind, and even on Sunday it'll be fun to kind of close out the week on a high note and get to watch some live lacrosse. So it'll be interesting to see how things go. Not to make assumptions, but I do kind of like that our first game, if it had to be on the road, I'm glad it's against Vancouver.
Get that one out of the way first.
Yeah. Hopefully start off on a solid note. Man,
Yeah,
I'm sure some Warriors are going to be listening to this and using it as fuel
right, right.
for.
They'll be like, "Well, yeah, we know what to do right off the bat."
Hmm.
but
Yep.
but no, I mean, you're right. You know, starting away, it sucks, but hey, it's good to kind of get that first game out of the way. That way, when they get home, it's kind of already started for them.
Hmm.
I will say this, so obviously I watch a lot of football. Sunday afternoon is very interesting because it means there's not a whole lot of games on Sunday, to be honest. Most games are Friday evenings, afternoon evenings, and Saturday afternoon evenings. Sunday, it's almost like they're highlighted more, and
Hmm.
so that kind of shows you that they're trusting the process of Panther City, and they're hey, there's only going to be two or three games on Sunday, and you're one of them. So I think that says a lot for the league, and that says a lot for Panther City. Like, hey, we see where you guys are going, where you guys are heading, and now we want to see you guys take the next step. So I'm excited for it. We will obviously have a preview show going over the whole season, closer to it, or closer to when the season starts. But that's not the only thing that happened when they released the schedule. They kind of teased it right before, and there was kind of a leak article that came out a few days before until the NLL came out and officially stated this. But the NLL as a whole has just changed everything. Obviously before there's the East Division and then there's the West Division, and that's how it would work out. and you have your division winners and you have your wild card teams, and that's how it went. No more, no divisions.
Yeah.
They called it a unified standings. Uh, the biggest thing I think that came from this was what they stated underneath. Each team in the NLL will face each other at least once during the year.
Yeah, so that's as someone who's excited not just for our team, but to see some of these other teams that play in the league that are in the East Division, which we weren't in. I'm really looking forward to this because now you get to see guys like Dane Smith come out and Hossick's brother for Toronto and whatnot. Just to be able to see these teams that you wouldn't have normally played, to be able to see them every season is going to be really cool.
Well, and I think the league as a whole saw the opportunity to kind of expand because, like we talked about last year and the year before, games are great, but I mean, we face division opponents what, three, almost four times a year sometimes, and it this allows teams to have that experience with the other side. I mean, last year we didn't go against Buffalo. You pointed it out, we didn't go against Toronto. This is this is a chance for Panther City to get that experience and see how they match up with those top teams. I mean, Buffalo won the title. If we go into Buffalo and put up a good fight and or even possibly win, I mean that sets expectations and helps the team just kind of grow as a whole.
Yeah, that'd be a huge shot in the arm for our confidence. Not even obviously you want to win, but even if we hang with the defending champions, like we did with Colorado
Mm-hmm.
this year,
Yeah.
it'd be great. And you think about it from a practicality standpoint, like I do like rivalries in any league. I think Panther City's young enough to where well, I'll say this: Panther City's young enough, and the league is kind of widespread enough throughout North America to where any rivalries they have will kind of emerge organically.
Mm-hmm.
Because as far as geographical rivalries go, I don't know what Fort Worth's geographical rival would be. I don't
Here,
know what
yeah,
Georgia's would be.
let's touch on that for a quick second. If you were to say out of 2 years of Panther City lacrosse, who our rival is, who do you think it would be?
Probably Colorado.
See, I would say Colorado. I would have said Colorado after the first year, but a part of me almost wants to say Las Vegas. And just because, not because like, oh, hey, you know, the level that they're on, because obviously they were super new last year, and they put up good fight in some games, but they weren't kind of where we were that first year. But also, I don't know, it's kind of like that new kids on the block kind of thing.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah, that's fair.
but I would say yes. I mean, I think Colorado is definitely probably one of our top ones. I mean, especially after the games last year where we're just like beating each other up for 2 games straight.
I would say Las Vegas and us are both trying to do the same thing,
Hmm.
and that's to get on Colorado's level. Because Colorado, when the obviously the Mammoth have been there for a long time now, but
Hmm.
Colorado is a non-traditional lacrosse market, and for them to establish themselves as perennially,
Hmm.
essentially title contenders, hey, that'd be awesome to see in Fort Worth, Texas. That'd be awesome to see in Vegas of all places.
Right.
So, so I can also see who did we play in the playoffs? Was it Calgary?
Um,
Um, it was either who was the team?
I don't think. Yeah, it was Calgary Roughnecks, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think who was it? I want to say it was Calgary. So I can see. Well, basically, the fact that we're talking about multiple teams as like Panther City's rivals
Right.
means we're a young team. There's room to grow to build up that not necessarily bad blood, but that build up that bitter history of competition, so to speak.
Right. And like I said, I think I would agree with you. I think I really do think that Colorado, especially after that first year and going into the second year, would probably be the closest that we have to like a mainstay rival, which according to this format, they want to keep, a flex schedule, a few games flex
Hmm.
to let the teams pick and choose and have that rivalry continue. Have multiple games against, one or two teams. I think actually next year, let me see. Yeah, we go against Las Vegas twice. We go against them in week 2 and week 9. And then
Okay. Yeah.
Colorado. Actually, I think we only go against
Colorado's
Colorado
just,
once.
yeah, just once. I'm trying to figure out what the other, maybe, okay, it's not Calgary. Is it San Diego?
Oh,
Yeah, San Diego. San
yeah.
Diego and Vegas are the teams we faced twice.
And see, San Diego's another one I could easily say, yeah, could be a good rival as well, because that's another team where, we're wanting to get kind of again on their level, but
Hmm.
uh, yeah, I think it's good for the teams again to just get that experience. Get the East teams facing against West. I mean, that's going to set up matchups like, oh my gosh, just think about it. San Diego versus Buffalo, Toronto versus Colorado. I mean, just some of those top teams going against each other is going to be good for the league.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be really fun. And I'm not too sure whether the old East and West divisions are had kind of the same flavor as like the AL and the
Hmm.
NL and baseball had back in the day, or the AFC and NFC, or even
Right.
like college football conferences where you think, oh, this conference is really offensive minded. This conference has all the good like defensive powerhouses and
Hmm.
whatnot. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how it all shakes out. I do like that, you know, the the NLL is the amount of teams does not supersede, or it does not exceed the number of games that there are,
Oh
which
yeah.
I think is why this format makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I'm sure somebody came in looking at that picture and said, "Yeah, we can do this." Honestly, again, I'm still pulling for a Seattle team. I think Seattle is a great market, and I think it would be smart for them to put a team there, just to even off how many teams you have in the league. But
Hmm.
this is a good change of pace. Well, I mean, obviously that's just the regular season schedule. They even talked about the playoffs. So the playoff is the top 8 teams that qualify. I mean, the structure kind of stays the same. It's the first round is single elimination, semifinals and finals are best of 3. I, I mean, again, I think this is a great opportunity because all Panther City has to do is be in that top 8.
Hmm. Yeah, and there are, let's see, there are what, 15 teams or 17?
That would be
15. Yeah,
yeah,
so
15.
so if we had the same format last year, Panther City would have been safe. And so if the team keeps improving, then they should be in a great position to make the playoffs again.
Hmm.
And yeah, it'll be just having all the different looks this season in general, in terms of, yeah, facing Toronto and Buffalo, facing teams that are kind of in the same boat as us, like Halifax, you mentioned Vegas,
Hmm.
and other teams trying to find their footing up east. I think, yeah, we actually did play Albany and New York last season, but
Right,
playing them
right.
again.
Again, I think was good, but those I don't want to say they weren't the top teams, but they kind of weren't.
Right. Hmm.
Well, and I just think it's hard to judge kind of where you are. Ooh, speaking of which, we do go against Georgia twice next year. We're gonna see
Oh,
some
that'll be
Thompson
fun.
brothers.
Yeah, yeah, that'll be fun.
And that'll be interesting. But no, I mean, I really do think this is a good opportunity, not just for Panther City, but for kind of all the teams. I mean, I just talked about Georgia. Georgia was on the verge of making the playoffs last year, and
Hmm.
honestly, with this kind of format, they might have.
Yeah, man, that would be fun to see. Not that you want any team to start out what 0-6 or
Yeah,
whatever their record was, but to be
right.
able to like climb up from the grave and actually kind of fight till the end would be really something funny or
For
special
sure.
to see.
Well, all I have to say from my end is I'm super excited. I mean, again, we'll go over the full schedule closer to the season, but I mean, we're gonna have home games, against Toronto. Let's see. Oh no. Oh no. I just realized something.
What's that?
We're gonna have another one, two, three, four, another 4 week span of no home games.
Okay. Is it
uh,
is it across the does it coincide with like the rodeo at Dickies, I
yeah, it's
wonder?
always the rodeo. Starts in January and goes through February.
Dang. So I'm never gonna be able to see them on my birthday
Yeah,
at home if this keeps up.
just tell the rodeo like, hey, can you guys just like take
Yeah.
a day off or something?
Yeah.
But it
Maybe I
is
can take a
interesting.
Vegas trip.
The Buffalo game is at home. I'm gonna mark
That'll
my
be
calendar
fun.
for that one.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and then of course ending the season at Calgary, just nightmare fuel for the end of the season. But
Yeah, that's exactly how this season ended, right?
yeah,
Wasn't the
yeah,
finale against them?
ended there, and then we're like, oh hey, we'll be back.
It's
Don't
like
worry.
I love seeing those Del Bianco to Courier transition fast breaks, but maybe not always against us.
Not against us. Well, and who knows? I mean, again, this season, dude, every season's different, and I know we every season we've gotten better, and I think this year is just going to be the same. We're going to take that next step. But well, I mean, any final thoughts on the divisions and the schedule or the signings?
Yeah, just really looking forward to everything. Looking forward to what this change in the format means. Obviously, it's a win-win for lacrosse fans. The with how the league's set up, if teams are going to be traveling anyway, then I think you might as well have them face each other. Yeah, looking forward to see what Knox and Sheridan, Gash, what all the new blood can do and how they integrate with the veterans.
Yeah, and like I said, it's just the countdown is on. Like it's October what 2nd that we're recording
Yeah.
this. December can't come soon enough. I can't wait to see the community for Panther City coming into this new year. I mean, the first game's on December 1st. We saw a good turnout for that playoff game last year, and we'll see what happens. But we always want to say thank you all for listening. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and check out our videos on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel including full episodes and highlights. Quick shout out to Thomas with Pitfall Solutions for helping us with that. Once again, I'm Nicholas.
And I'm once again off-season Andy.
Off season Andy. That's
Not
right.
not for much longer.
I know. Yeah, a couple more months, and then we're going to be in the middle of the season, Andy.
Yep.
Well, thank you guys again, and we'll see you next time.
Sweet. Cheers, y'all.